This is the story of a boy who used to cheat in exams but eventually became an honest, high-ranking officer. Watch the video till the end. This video is full of motivation for everyone who is struggling with failures. Enjoy. In the beginning, a boy named Manoj is seen preparing small notes to cheat in the exam hall. The school principal himself encourages the students to cheat because he only cares about the school's good results. During the exam, while everyone is cheating, a DSP Deputy Superintendent of Police Officer arrives for an inspection. The officer catches the school principal red-handed and arrests him. The DSP stops the cheating and the exam, and as a result, many students fail that year, including Manoj, who fails his 12th standard exam. Manoj's father is a very honest man who works for the government. One day, Manoj's father is pressured by his supervisor to help with corrupt tenders. Being honest, he refuses and fights with his supervisor. Later, he is suspended from his job, but Manoj's father continues to fight the case in the high court, believing that the truth will win. As a result, Manoj's family suffers from poverty. Soon, Manoj and his brother start earning money by driving a village vehicle to support the family. But this doesn't last long as they are forced to stop their transportation business by the village bus conductor and driver. Manoj's brother fights with the bus conductor and slaps him with the slipper. The next day, the police arrest both Manoj and his brother, putting them in prison. Manoj tries to defend their innocence, but the police are bribed by the bus owner and remain adamant. Manoj argues with the police and threatens them, which angers the police officer, who challenges Manoj to bring a gun and fight him, or else he'll shoot his brother. Manoj panics and runs out of the police station, but instead of going home, he goes straight to the DSP's house and complains about the police officer. The DSP visits the police station and releases Manoj and his brother. Manoj is deeply touched by the DSP's help and realizes that power in the right hands can help others and change society. Manoj asks the DSP what he should do to become a DSP like him. The DSP replies, "Just stop cheating." This advice motivates Manoj and changes his behavior. He studies hard, passes his 12th standard, and continues to graduate in Hindi, chasing his dream. After graduation, Manoj goes to the city for coaching. His grandmother saves her years of pension money and gives it to Manoj. But during the bus journey, Manoj falls asleep and a woman steals all his belongings. Now Manoj has nothing. He sleeps on the streets and remains hungry for several days. Eventually, he can't bear the hunger anymore and asks a canteen owner for food, offering to work for it instead of getting it for free. In the canteen, Manoj meets a guy named Pram, and while talking, he learns that the coaching center he came for has already closed. Manoj is worried and doesn't know what to do. Pram then introduces him to the UPSC exam, the toughest exam in India, explaining that if he can clear it, he can become an IPS officer, which is even higher than a DSP. Pram offers Manoj a ticket to Delhi, India's capital, to join him for UPSC coaching. When Manoj reaches Delhi, the environment is totally different. He sees lots of vehicles and many students preparing for UPSC and other civil service exams. Manoj feels worried and wants to return to his village, but a friend takes him to meet Brother Gauri, a senior student who has passed the prelims and mains exams and is waiting for his interview results. Brother Gauri explains the UPSC exam clearly to Manoj and even helps him get a job in a library, believing that the success of any poor student is a success for the entire poor community. Manoj works in the library, saves some money, and looks for a good coaching center. In one of the centers, he meets a girl named Shada. Manoj and Shada argue with the corrupt coaching center, and Shada is impressed when she learns that Manoj passed his prelims exam without any coaching. One day, Shada meets Manoj in the library and asks about his job and studies. Shada sees an engineering book in his hand and mistakenly assumes that Manoj is an engineer. Manoj and Shada become close friends. Later, during a coaching class, when the lecturer asks a question based on engineering science, Shada pressures Manoj to answer. The lecturer then asks Manoj if he is an engineer, because the lecturer knows that Manoj graduated in Hindi. Manoj replies that he is not an engineer. Shada feels embarrassed in front of the whole class. After this incident, Manoj feels guilty and sad. While in the library, the manager asks him about the library's money expenditure, suspecting Manoj of taking some money. Manoj argues with the manager and quits the job. This time, Manoj goes far away and starts working in a flour mill while continuing his studies. After several days, Pram visits Manoj and feels sorry for his living conditions. Pram tells Manoj to return and apologize to Shada, but Manoj insists that he will apologize only after passing his mains exam. Pram knows that if Manoj stays and studies in such conditions, he will never pass the exam. Unfortunately, Manoj fails the mains exam because he writes about terrorism in India instead of the asked topic, tourism in India. Manoj is sad and goes straight to Shada's house to apologize and even proposes to her, but Shada doesn't respond to his proposal. Instead, she tells Manoj to return to Delhi and study hard. Manoj is heartbroken and returns to his village, where he meets his sister, brother, and mother. He is happy to see them, but when he learns about his grandmother's death, he is filled with sorrow. His mother tries to hide their poverty and poor living conditions, but Manoj knows and consoles her. Manoj is motivated to study even harder and returns to Delhi to resume his studies. One day, Manoj's father visits him and feels sorry for his son's conditions living and working in a flour mill while studying. He tells Manoj to return to their village and start a new business together, but Manoj refuses and consoles his father. Later, even Shada visits Manoj and feels sad for him. She offers her savings to Manoj to rent a better room and study, but Manoj refuses. He knows he needs to support his family in the village. Seeing his struggle, Brother Gauri forces Manoj to stay in his room and promises to send money to Manoj's family. Manoj hesitates to accept, but Brother Gauri insists, telling Manoj that he can repay him double once he becomes an IPS officer and to focus only on his studies. For the first time, Manoj sits at a table and chair to study, and he eventually clears the mains exam. Now, to become an IPS officer, he needs to pass the interview, which is the toughest part. Meanwhile, Shada clears the PCS exam and becomes a deputy collector. On the interview day, Shada accompanies Manoj, takes him to trim his hair in IPS style, and dresses him well. She gives Manoj a letter telling him to open and read it when he is alone. During the interview, the interviewers underestimate Manoj because he is from a Hindi medium background and ask him why he failed in 12th standard. Manoj tells the truth that year they couldn't cheat in the exam because the DSP arrested their principal. This answer shocks the interviewers. One interviewer tells Manoj that the interview is finished, but another lady interviewer asks him to wait outside for 2 minutes. Manoj waits outside, worried. He then takes out Shada's letter and reads it. The letter says, "Manoj, whether you become an IPS officer or work at the flour mill, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me, Manoj?" Manoj is very happy and this motivates him. He is called back for more questions, which he answers confidently. But when the interview is over, Manoj hears one interviewer saying, "Waste of time, such arrogance." Manoj thinks he might not clear the exam. When the results are announced, Manoj doesn't want to go and check, but Shada forces him to. She accompanies Manoj, and when Shada sees the result, she starts crying with happy tears because Manoj has cleared the UPSC exam. Manoj's friends also cry with happiness because they all know how much Manoj struggled. This news becomes breaking news how a 12th failed toilet cleaner and flour mill worker cleared India's toughest exam. 1 year later, Manoj becomes an IPS officer and visits the DSP, who once told him not to cheat. The DSP salutes him upon his arrival as a senior officer. Manoj gives him his first wedding invitation card and says, "Sir, you may not recognize me, but I'm that boy you told not to cheat." The DSP recognizes him and salutes him again. And with this, the story ends. Subscribe for popcorn. We are racing towards 500 subscribers.